Hey everybody, welcome into this Adobe Illustrator tutorial brought to you as always by tutvid.com. You saw the title up there, right? We're going to create this diamond geometric shape icon in Adobe Illustrator. We're going to take a look at some cool shape building tools, not the actual shape building tools, but I guess a better way to phrase it is some ways to build shapes in Adobe Illustrator. Now, before we get going, just want to remind you, as I usually do at the beginning of these tutorials, if you enjoyed the video, hey, hit the little like button over there. That always helps out, and make sure you subscribe to my channel so you never miss another Adobe Illustrator tutorial ever again in the future. And if you feel so inclined to support the channel and what we're doing here, getting ready to move to a new studio space, it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to show it to you guys. Go ahead and use that little link up in the top corner of the video and pick up a copy of my Photoshop course. It's all about how to retouch images in Photoshop and probably the best way to support the channel. At least right now, I don't want to go and do anything like Patreon or anything like that. I'd rather give you a little something for the support that you lend to the channel. And of course, a hearty thank you as well. Without further ado, let's check this bad boy out. So I have just 3 different versions of the diamond icon. And of course, you can reduce opacity for different panes of the diamond, all kinds of cool stuff like that, and really take this effect to the next level. However, we are going to begin this whole thing by going up here and going File, New, and I'm going to go with probably my favorite file size at the moment, 2560 by 1440, RGB right there. You see that RGB color mode. Go ahead and create the new document. I'm actually going to jump back over to this other document because I'm going to grab this right here. It's just a series of colors and shades of colors that I'm going to use. I'm going to base sort of my first diamond. All of these different panes are going to be sampled from these little circles here. So I'm just going to copy this over to my new document and just paste it in place. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit and drag it up here off of the actual working area of my document. I just need to be able to sample it a little bit later in the tutorial. And you'll see as I sample it, we need a little bit of a darker shade or a lighter shade of a specific color. This is just to make things flow nice and smoothly for this tutorial here. I'm going to, first things first, create a background. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool and I'm going to click a single time. And I'm going to create a rectangle that is 2560 by 1440, of course. Hit OK. And you can see here, it's got a white fill and no stroke, which is perfect, exactly what we need. We're going to come up here and this little icon, I want to make sure this is set to align to artboard. And then just align this to the horizontal and vertical centers. Great. I'm going to double click on this layer, name it BG. And I'm going to actually choose from the flyout menu here, go panel options, as I usually do at the beginning of my Illustrator tutorials, and just increase the size of these thumbnails here in my layers panel so we can really see what's going on. Oh, you know what? Before I lock up this layer, I should probably change the color of that background shape. It's white to begin with, which is great, but I think I want to go with a dark gray. You know what? Let's go with something a little bit more vibrant, actually. Let's go with a nice sort of like almost pale-ish yellow, but quite bright. There we go. Maybe drift it into the orange a little bit. There we go. Something like that. Hit OK. And there we go with a nice background color. And I'm going to click on the little space in between the little eyeball and that color bar there. And that's going to allow me to lock that layer so I don't accidentally select and drag and move and change the properties of my background because I'm pretty sure I don't want to change that. Let's come down here to the bottom of the layers panel and choose this new layer icon, create new layer, and we can name this layer icon or really whatever we darn well please. And we're going to go ahead and create a polygon. So underneath the rectangle, we have our polygon tool, and I'm going to choose my fill color here, and I'm just going to set it to white just for the simple fact that I can see it here above my background. And I'm going to click a single time. And what you're going to see is your polygon dialog box pop up. You see that? A radius and the number of sides. Well, number of sides is highlighted, so let's set this to what we want. We want 10 sides, but I want to change the radius here. I need the radius to be 400. Now, the radius is only half the diameter, as we learned in 8th grade math class. So this is going to be a polygon, which is 800 pixels across, and it's going to have 10 sides. So I'm going to go ahead and choose OK, and you can see, hey, look at that, pretty cool. We've got a nice, complex polygon here. And the first thing I want to do, I'm just going to drag it here closer to the center of the document. I want to come up here to, well, number one, I want to make sure that the polygon has flat edges on the very top. See, there's a flat edge on the very top middle and the very bottom middle. That's going to be kind of important just for the way we're designing our little diamond. So I want to make sure I have those flat sides up and down. If I don't, I would just grab one of these corner handles and rotate it around until it was flat. And then up here in the top control bar, you see this? I've got a width of 800 pixels, a height of 760. I want to change the height here to, let's go 200 pixels. And you can see we're just smushing that hexagon. It's not really a hexagon, it's a polygon, more than hex. We're going to smush that down and make it a bit more flat. And then what we're going to do to further change the angle and sort of perspective of the shape is we're going to grab our direct selection tool. It's the white arrow tool right up here. And I'm going to drag out a selection over the top 4 anchor handles. See that? Those top, I don't have that one selected, but I've got the 1, 2, 3, 4 top anchor handles or anchor points selected, and I'm going to hold down my shift key and hit the down arrow key 1, probably 2 times, and I'm going to drag out another selection here just across the bottom 4 anchor points. 1, 2, 3, 4, got it. Hold down shift and hit the down arrow key here probably 1, 2 times. So we've not only smushed what's going to become the top of our diamond, but we've also changed the perspective of it a little bit there using the direct selection tool. Next, what I'm going to do is grab my regular selection tool once more, the black arrow, select this polygon, hit Command or Control C, or just go Edit Copy. Let's keep it simple here. Edit Copy, and then Edit Paste in front, and I want to nudge it downward. I don't know, 17, 18, 19, 20 times, but hold the shift key while you nudge downwards. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I'm going to roll with 17. And all I'm going to do here, because this is really we just need this to be a guide for us, I'm going to swap my fill color with the stroke. So I'm going to hit these little swappy swap arrows here, and that's just going to give me a little white stroke down there, right? You see that? We're actually going to end up getting rid of the shape later, but don't worry, we're going to hang with it here for a second. We do want to select the path. Double click if you accidentally jump into isolation mode there. We do want to select the path, and we want to change the width here. See, the width is 800 as the original shape was. We want to make it a little wider. Let's push it out to like 1,000 pixels wide. That's pretty great. That looks good to me. Now what we want to do, and this is kind of important if you want to really be able to create these precise shapes with the pen tool, and this is the name of the game here. We're going to go to the View menu and make sure Smart Guides is turned on. A little check there is going to let you know, yep, got it turned on. And we don't want Snap to Grid, Pixel, or Point turned on. If any of those are turned on, just click on it. It'll shut it off, and we'll be good to go. So now grab the pen tool, and we're going to begin first by creating, let's just reference our original diamonds here. We're going to first create these outside shapes. So that little outside shape and that outside shape. I want to create them first before we do anything else. So what I'm going to do is, and I can zoom in here a little bit, I can just hover over any anchor point on my shape, and Smart Guides is going to say, yep, that's exactly to the very, very precise point where that anchor point is. So I can click on that to begin drawing a path, and then I can come down and hover over where the exact anchor point is down here on my enlarged, widened polygon shape. Great, and I can trace that down to this anchor point, come up to this anchor point, and then come back across to that anchor point. Great, and then I can swap the fill with the stroke, or the stroke to the fill, excuse me, and I get my nice edge piece of the diamond. Great, and now I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to go boom to anchor, anchor to anchor. That wasn't the anchor. We want to make sure it says anchor. See there? See how it says anchor? We don't want it to say intersect or path or anything. We want it to say anchor. That's exactly where it needs to be. To anchor, boom. We got another white shape. Looks great. And the last thing we need to do here before we get rid of our guide is we want to create a triangle that runs between these anchor points. So we're going to go anchor point to anchor point, and again with Smart Guides, it's going to tell us exactly where the middle of our shape is. See right there? Exactly the middle of our shape right there. Great, so I'm going to create that triangle, boom, and I want to make this triangle a little bit taller, so I'm going to grab my direct selection tool, and I'm just going to, well, you know what I can do first is I can just click this path here so we don't accidentally do anything with it, select it, and get rid of it. We're done with that path. Grab the direct selection tool, it's the hotkey is the letter A, and just drag a selection over just the tip of the triangle. Hold down your shift key, and let's nudge this downward, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 times. I was holding the shift key while hitting the down arrow key, and I think I want to bump these outside corners in, so I'm just going to select that very outermost anchor and go 1, 2, let me hold down shift here, 1, 2, maybe something like 2, nudge it in twice, that's probably good. I'm going to do it with this one too, 1, 2, something like that. That's cool. It's going to give our diamond a little bit more wrapping feeling. Now we're going to grab the pen tool once more because we need to create a couple more triangles here. We want to begin up here, select anchor point, and we want to come way over to this anchor point, and then come all the way back to this anchor point, and up to that anchor point. Great. And guys, right now I know it doesn't look like we're doing anything special. On here I'm going anchor point to anchor point to anchor point, back to anchor point. It doesn't look like we're doing anything special because, of course, everything is still solid white. But hang with me here. We're going to add some color in a second. I'm going to go anchor point to anchor point to anchor point to anchor point. Lovely. And then we'll do the same thing over here. Boom, 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 boom. All right, now before we draw the bottom part of the diamond, I'm going to zoom out here. I'm just going to drag a selection over this top portion of the diamond. You can see the shapes that we've created, right? Look at that. Beautiful. It's all very precise. It's all very exacting. Now, up here, I can see, and actually I'll unlock the background layer. Maybe what I'll do is I'll cut this, Command or Control X, lock the background layer, and I'm going to paste it back in here. Make sure I select the correct layer, paste it back in there. So I've got all my colors here. And what I can do now is select like the very top area, and this is the color that I want the top to be. So I'm going to grab my eyedropper tool, and I'll just sample from that color. Boom, I've got that color. Great. And then the outside colors, I'm going to go with that purple there. And then the next shape over is going to get that purple there. And the next shape over is going to get this purple here. And the very frontmost triangle, you can see I have these arranged in such a way that I kind of know exactly what color goes where. And this is kind of how, if you're following along and colorizing, this is generally what you want to do. A darker purple over here, this will sort of be the shadow side of the diamond, and then just like a darker purple to a lighter purple to a darker purple to a somewhat lighter purple to an even lighter purple, as this will be the sort of the highlight side of the diamond. And then over here, we're going to reach across and sample that color, and then just a slightly darker purplish, pinkish color, whatever there on the end. And you can see this is starting to look very much more like a diamond than it did just a second ago when it was all solid white and was just looking like a solid shape for obvious reasons. We need to create the entire bottom part of the diamond, though. We're going to do that right now. Now, this is where using smart guides is really helpful, and check this out. So we're going to grab the pen tool once more, and I'm going to set my fill color to something that's very not the magenta color that we're using. And I want to begin, I want this shape, I want to draw a couple small triangles, and what's happening here is really interesting. I want the top point of the triangle to be exactly on a line with this anchor point here. Well, when I hover over, when I hover over this, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a magenta line that's appearing telling me that I'm exactly intersecting with my path on the bottom, but also that I'm exactly lining up with that anchor point up there. That's great. And now what I can do is I can just come down here, and I can pick I can make it the diamond as long as I want. So I can come down like 390 pixels. Smart Guides is telling me, yep, that's aligned exactly with your anchor point right there. So I can go anchor point and then complete my shape. Great. And now I can come over here and do the same thing. So I can start that shape right there. Bam. Come down to my point, anchor, up to that anchor, across to that anchor. Great. And I've got two more shapes here for the front of the diamond. Now these shapes are going to be colorized that darker purpley, blue color, pink color really, and then this color here right there. And now all we need to do is complete the diamond by drawing 1, 2, 3, make sure we're hitting anchors, and up to that anchor. Great. And I'll just colorize this before I let it go. Grab my pen tool. Again, the hotkey for the pen tool is just the letter P. And then I'm going to go bam, bam, bam. Great. The letter I is the hotkey for the eyedropper tool, and I'm going to give this dark purpley color. And you can see we've created our basic diamond color. I'm going to move my color palette here off of the active working artboard area because we still have a couple things we need to do here. Number one, what I think I want to do here, because I like the way this looks, you can zoom in on it and just make sure you didn't miss any areas and everything is, pixel perfect or, mathematically perfect according to the vector paths and everything. But I'm pretty confident that everything looks pretty good. What I'm probably going to do here, if I open up this icon layers panel over here, I can see that all of my shapes are just kind of like strewn in there. So I'm going to drag a selection over this diamond and hit Command or Control G to group it up. You can see there it is, a nice neat package now with all of our paths for our diamond right in there. Now, if I wanted to change the color of this diamond before I do anything else, you can use Recolor Artwork, and it's so easy. This is the Recolor Artwork icon, and you want to make sure you select your group, select all of the pieces of artwork you wish to recolor, hit Recolor Artwork, and we would just come up here and hit the word Edit. And under Edit, I want to make sure that I select and tick on this icon to link the colors, and then I could just begin shifting the hue. And the whole entire complexion of our diamond is going to change. So I can just make it blue. I can maybe darken it a little bit. I can increase the saturation a little if I want. I think I want to make it a little bit lighter. I kind of like the lighter blue. Maybe even head into the direction of teal. That's pretty cool. I think I'm going to roll with that. I'm going to hit OK, and we've changed the way our diamond looks. All right, next up, we want to go ahead and create a simple sort of glowing, sparkling edges, and this is purely a matter of detail. This would be a great flat icon just as it is, but if you want to kind of take it to the next level, we can add a little detail to this. And again, this is a point at which it's really, really helpful to have smart guides turned on, because what we're going to do is grab the line tool, and we're just going to drag out a line. It can be as short or long as you want, really. And I'm going to choose my stroke over here in the fill stroke area, choose the stroke. I'm going to come up here to my color panel, and I'm going to just select this little white stroke here. I'm just going to color it white. I'm going to come down to my stroke panel, and I'm going to increase the weight of it maybe up to 3 points. So you can see there, weight 3 points. Now here's the important part. Down here at the bottom of the stroke panel, and by the way, you might not have this open. Your stroke panel might look like this, or it might look like this. Just keep double clicking the tab until you see all of this stuff. We're interested in this little bit down here, profile. Right now it's set to uniform, but we're going to come down here and choose the width profile number 5, and you're going to see what this is going to do to our little stroke. It's going to give it this kind of almost like shining highlight look. How are we going to use this? Well, this is where things get pretty manual. In fact, I'm going to show you how I apply a couple of these highlights, and then I'm going to speed the video up, and you can finish adding highlights where you want on your own as you wish. So we're going to just copy this. We're actually going to cut, this highlight off of the artboard by going Edit, Cut. That's going to get rid of it. And we're just going to paste it where we want. So I'm just going to go Command or Control V to paste it. And it doesn't look like we've done much. In fact, you might say, why'd you even cut it if you just paste it again? You'll see why in just a second. We want to grab the Direct Selection tool and just go ahead, deselect it all together. And this is where the Smart Guides come into play. Remember, View, Smart Guides, right there. You want to select the top anchor point and just drag it, and it'll automatically snap to an anchor point in our shape. So there, we've got that beautiful little highlight that spans the gap. Our stroke automatically recreates this little profile, so we get a perfect little profile there, and we're going to have a nice looking little highlight. And oh, by the way, if you select the path and you want to change the orientation, you want to make like the thicker part of the highlight on the other side, go ahead and just hit this little icon right here, right there, flip along, and see that? We just move the highlight now up to the top part of the diamond, and you've got a great little highlight. Now what happens when we want to add a second highlight? Well, remember, we copied the shape to the clipboard, so just go Edit, Paste, and we've pasted another little stroke. Deselect, use that Direct Selection tool, align it with any anchor in your little diamond shape. Make sure you align it with the anchor, and boom, there you go. You've created that. You can select that. You can flip that if you like, and just go ahead and create this little highlight pattern wherever you like. So I'm going to speed the video up here, and while I may have it speeding up here as I'm talking, and you can just watch me hammer the rest of these out really, really quickly, and then we'll move on with the tutorial and talk about wrapping this thing up entirely. Okay, and that all looks pretty good. We'll just zoom out here and take a look at it from afar. I didn't really add any highlights to the very edges of the diamond. You can do that if you like, but I'm just adding them kind of to the middle facets of where the edges of all the diamond faces come together. And what I want to do is I want to select all of these and group them up so I can either set them to a blend mode or adjust the opacity, or maybe fill them with a different color other than white. Well, how do I do this? It's actually pretty easy. I'm going to collapse my stroke panel here because I'm not concerned with strokes anymore. All we need to do is lock up our diamond group, right? I just hit that little space in between the eyeball and the colored bar. It's going to lock up the diamond group. I can grab my normal selection tool, right up there, normal selection tool, and just drag a selection out over the whole diamond. And what's going to be selected? Well, just the lines, of course, because it's the only unlocked stuff. Hit Command or Control G to group them up. Now we have our highlights. I'm just going to call these highlights. And we can go to our transparency panel, and here we can try setting them to something like overlay. Now remember, it's a color white, so setting them to overlay is going to help that white kind of blend with the blue a little bit. You can see it just gives the diamond a little bit of like zing. We could do something like color dodge as well. I'm a sucker for color dodge, and we would probably want to change the color of our highlights to, kind of like a medium, bluish color, and it's going to give them a little bit of bite. Or we could go and we could do the opposite of blue is yellow, so it may look cool to have like a yellowy orange highlight in there. Let's see what that looks like. All right, and that's kind of cool. It's still a little bit too bright maybe, so we might need to darken it up, and really we need to allow it some sort of leeway to interact with the blue underneath it a little bit. And that doesn't really seem to be working out too well. Let's just go back to like a very lightish blue, something like that. Hit OK. And there we go. Something like that looks cool. In fact, we could just try going back to overlay again. You can see because the color's so dark, it almost disappears on overlay. So I'm gonna fuss with this unnecessarily, but I'm gonna fuss with it a little bit more and just give it a very, very light aqua blue. And you can see we've got some nice highlights for our diamond. We can zoom out a little bit further, take a look at it. We can zoom in a little bit, take a look at it. And the nice thing about this is we can always select the entire bit. I just unlocked the actual diamond. We can select the entire bit, Command or Control G to group it all together and group the diamond with the highlights. And we can just hold down our Alt or Option key and duplicate the diamond as many times as we want, and we'll have this, pretty cool flat diamond illustration that we've created. Whoops, I'm going to hit cancel because I inadvertently hit a hotkey there. I'm just going to hit the delete key. There we go. That works a little bit better. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for this one. Again, guys, make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If we're creating a diamond in Adobe Illustrator, that's it. Get it? Got it? Good. Nathaniel Dodson, tutvid.com. I'll catch you in the next one.